how do we overcome those? And there is um, a whole pathway, a whole pathway of bringing into our being purity, sattva, stillness, quietness, calming our senses so that they're not roaming around and fueling their compulsions, just quietening it all down, restraining it in, tempering things, calming down our taste buds, calming down our ears, um, cooling down our lust. What's that pathway called? And that entire pathway is called Upasana Yoga. It's also called, and a part of that Upasana is called Raja Yoga or Hatha Yoga, or the yogas that we know today, like Pranayama, Brahmari Pranayama, or Anulom Vilom. You've noticed that when you are doing postures or pranayama, breath control, or meditation, then you feel more centered, do you not? Can you give me your feedback if you do? Like if you did some meditation and some breath work before you went to the mall, you would come back home with just the things you need versus what you want. What do you think? Would you agree?
Many yeses coming in.
And Upasana Yoga, I didn't call Upasana Yoga Hatha Yoga because Hatha Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga of Patanjali, they are only a part of this pathway, not the totality. This includes communication, how to use your speech. This includes how to eat. Ayurveda is part of this pathway, how to purify your body. All the sattva teachings that I have been giving you over this last year and a half, this belongs here. It is the purpose to give you a lot of Upasana Yoga practices, the whole sadhana that you learn from our teacher Samya and Vimala. This is all part of like just purifying the urges, purifying the senses. At the time when I'm teaching it, Navratri is around the corner. Navratri, the 9-day goddess festival. And during the 9-day goddess festival, I'll be eating a certain way. In fact, today, when I'm teaching it on Tuesdays, I don't eat salt. Now, all day. So, what is all this? This is all methods to say to the tongue, no, you don't get any salt today. In the past, there have been days where I would stay silent. So, this is all part of Upasana Yoga, and its purpose is to purify the senses and their engagement in the world. And you can imagine what that will do for you. That will relieve you from these vasanas rising within you and then forcing you to fulfill them with some negative consequences. Not always. Many times they are pleasant consequences, but then if you go out to fulfill a vasana and you get like the dose of your candy here, they act like candy and you want more and you want more. So when vasanas are fulfilled, they lead to greed. And when they are unfulfilled, they lead to sorrow. As a result, we have these three beautiful systems of yoga. The path of knowing the self, because when you know the self, Maya cannot really get in your way. For example, if you know that there is a sun shining, then the dark clouds can't hold you back from that knowledge, right? The dark clouds of Maya cannot hold you back. But somebody who's never seen the sun and they only know the dark clouds will think, gosh, my life is just full of dark clouds. But the memory of the sun-like self will help you act with that conviction, even when you're surrounded by clouds. And that knowledge, even right now you can see what's the big deal. I get this. Sure, we get it intellectually, but do we get it entirely, completely? Do we act like that amazing self, which is the goddess-like self in day-to-day life? We're not able to, mostly. Why? Because the clouds get at us. And that's why a systematic study of the yoga of knowledge of self, it's not knowledge of geography and biology and chemistry, but the knowledge of self, Jnana Yoga, that's going to free you of the obligation to become a slave of Maya. The knowledge of Karma Yoga will help you act on the theater of life, but without the fear of morbid consequences chasing you now or hereafter in another life. The knowledge of Upasana Yoga practices, which purify your thoughts, your senses, your speech, your body through yoga, asana, pranayama, meditation, Ayurveda. Well, that's going to help you while you are living on earth in this important lifetime, not at least waste your life chasing vasanas, but see through them, occasionally satisfy them, but you're the boss. You call the shots and not your vasana. I'm going to make a confession. I'm pretty sure I was born for the vasana of chai. Just totally. This is karmic for me. And I was born in a culture that drinks chai at the drop of a hat. Like 4 to 5 cups a day, no big deal. And they can even have it just before bed and fall asleep. They're so acclimatized to it. Ishani is smiling, so I'm sure she has witnessed all this in India. But as I changed my relationship with it, once for 7 months, I didn't put a drop of chai in my mouth. And those 7 months were my sadhana, my Upasana Yoga sadhana, to say to the chai, I see you, but I'm not going to be your slave. And after that, chai is something I enjoy, but it does not enjoy me. Right now, I have a discipline of 2 chais. And I'm good to go, especially when it's made with Ayurveda spices for the season. So this is how we change our relationship with vasanas. I wanted to give you an example. Vasanas are vasanas. They may not always be horrible and dangerous. They may be kind of cute and sweet. But if you're not sovereign, if you don't have choice, then they compromise you somewhere. And that is why in the Vedic tradition, we have a system of fasting or detoxifying or not speaking on a certain time of the day or the week, or not having salt one day, not having sugar one day, and we go on and on for years, right? Because it's our way to purify the urges, the addictions, the control. Now, if you're going to try all these yogas and we hit the jackpot, we find a teacher, a platform, a book, a course online that's teaching us all this, we can think, wow, we have it all. But it doesn't really change the hand on the clock until and unless there is a 4th yoga in operation. And it holds all these 3 yogas in its embrace. What is that yoga? That yoga is the fourth yoga called Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti means devotion, but it's not ritualistic devotion. Bhakti means, as I've mentioned to you before, loving devotion. It's a feeling-based devotion. Then devotion to who? So what I wanted to share with you was that in the midst of inner and outer darkness, inner darkness from the mind that is sleepwalking in Maya, and outer darkness because there's Maya everywhere, there is something inside us that is not participating in this game. That part of us in Jnana Yoga we call the self or Atma. But at a universal self, that part of us dwells in you, it dwells in us, it dwells in every person, conscious, unconscious, semi-conscious. It dwells in the toad, in the beetle, in the blade of grass, in the trees, in every leaf. It's the inner controller, it's the inner intelligence. And when we collectively look at this intelligence, then the concept of God or goddess is born in the Vedas. And bhakti is about devotion to this, you can say, nameless, faceless God principle, or you could say that God that appears as numerous faces and numerous names. That intelligence, that divine power. And Bhakti Yoga is an engagement with this power. And this power, we can understand it as an invisible principle, divine principle, that is all pervading. It not only pervades in living beings, like living things, from one single-celled organism to the complex elephants and rhinos and human beings, but it also dwells in every particle of this universe. And not just on Earth, but this whole universe. So you can imagine that it is a great divine intelligence that has been conceived. We can imagine it as this invisible, omnipotent, all-pervading, omniscient intelligence, divine. That is one way. And have bhakti or devotional love to it. So if I'm stuck inside this, which is a cesspool of Maya, vasana and karma, and I'm drowning in here, I can hold on to something here, but chances are I'll drown anyway. But what if I close my eyes and I call out to that principle that is holding this and is above it at the same time? That is immanent and immanent, immanent and immanent, and transcendent to it at the same time. Immanent and transcendent. Then chances are that in the first stages of my journey, understanding the three knots of samsara where I'm drowning, if I keep simply close my eyes or go to the altar and put the symbol of my choice, and listen carefully, I am not promoting Hinduism. I am telling you that you can put any version of your God here. Or you could put a symbol of nature, like a pebble, a feather, a rock, or have it completely empty, just pure space, and see it as a symbol of that omnipotent, omniscient, all-pervading intelligence. That same intelligence is billions of miles away in other galaxies. That same intelligence is here. That same intelligence is in your every cell. The same intelligence dwells in every sand particle, in the living being. That intelligence is animated. In the non-living thing, it is passive, but it's the same intelligence. That is how the non-living world is also very intelligent. And a particle of sand knows how to be a particle of sand. And a particle of water knows how to be a particle of water. Because there is a universal cosmic intelligence, and that intelligence is worshipped as God. When we worship it in its original form, then we cannot ascribe any gender, male or female or mixed gender, name or culture to it. We cannot. Because those things are not bad, but they are limitations on that ultimate principle. But then the Vedas understand that when we are stuck in Maya and we are looking through the lenses of Maya, conditioning our mind, we have to have the comfort then of ascribing qualities, not qualities like Rajas, Tamas, Sattva, because all of this is beyond Sattva, ultimate Sattva, but qualities, cultural qualities, gender qualities, and specifications of power. And as a result, this Vedic science and its teaching of spirituality therefore has room for every version of spirituality on earth today. And you may go on a journey and reach, it's still possible, find some undiscovered humans living in some unexplored territory of earth. There are some far and few that are still not under the purview of tourism and, governments. And they may have their own version of God, goddess, that. Yeah. And what will the Vedas say? It's that same intelligence. Perfect. 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 You can find that same intelligence and have all the benefits of bhakti, of that version of God that Christians can get from worshipping Jesus, Muslims from Allah, and Hindus from Vishnu. Same. Because the connection of Bhakti Yoga happens from here. It's not based on what language you speak. Does your God wear sari or a gown? These are our ways of loving that same intelligence according to Bhakti Yoga.